Are you in a sales role and you feel you don't like selling? In today's video, I'm going to show you how to sell even when you don't like selling. So it's really going to be a lot about shifting perspectives, and I'm going to tell you what I mean. My name is Iyore. I've trained thousands of salespeople around the world in several countries, including Nigeria, Ghana, USA, UAE, Rwanda. I'm an author of several books and resources on sales. I've been featured on lots of media platforms to talk about successful selling. I worked on an organization I was going to target to sell to 20 high net worth individuals. I was able to bring in 21 high net worth individuals to the organization in a single month. I also participated in a sales competition where I won, and I was sent for the World Cup for an all-expense paid trip. I moved to another organization. I was able to double my portfolio by over 100% in just 11 months. I'm currently the CEO for Advantage and our specialties in Salesforce management. This means work with sales teams to help them optimize their results, partnering with the team leads, with CEOs to help them get results faster and in record time. So just imagine if you have a sales team who they don't like selling. They don't even like going out. They like to sit in the office all day. Or maybe you as a salesperson, you don't even feel the inspiration and motivation to sell. There are a few things that you can do so that you can start selling effectively. There are 3 keys to meet any sales targets. And if you find yourself in this situation, you want to check, are these 3 keys, are you experiencing or suffering from one of these 3 keys? The 3 keys are, number 1, the right mindset. You need to be sure that you have the right mindset, which is the growth mindset. Possibility thinking. One of the ways you can tell your mindset is what's coming out of your mouth and your behavior. So if you notice that you're not doing the sales activities, it just shows how you're seeing things. And that's why I mentioned perspective at the beginning. If you're saying things like, oh, if only the organization could be better, if only I had more resources, I'll be able to do better, then you can tell that there's something about the way you're thinking. And that's going to be affecting your sales results at the end of the day. The second thing is the right selling skills. You need to know how to sell correctly. The third thing is the right work ethics. You need to be able to schedule your day in such a way that you go out for a lot of meetings. So these are the 3 major things to sell successfully. Now, when we look at the fact that, hey, I have a sales role, but I don't like selling. How do I sell what I don't like to sell? Number 1, you need to change your perspective. And in this, you're going to change your perspective in these areas. First of all, you need to use a sales process. Selling is not winging. You don't just wing it. You don't just say, oh, when I get there, I'll know what to say. You need to schedule and plan a sales process properly. If you look through this channel, I have videos on using a sales process. Now, what's a sales process? It's just a scheduled, pre-planned method to move a prospect from the beginning of the conversation to the end. And what you use to navigate the sales process is questions. So this means you need to think through on the kind of questions you can ask the prospects so that you can identify their needs and solve their problems. There will always be pressure to sell if you are thinking about what to say, if you're thinking about how you're going to be able to talk without forgetting your lines. There will always be pressure. But there will never be pressure to sell if you're just going to be asking questions. This means you meet a prospect, you want to understand the person, you want to really tell if you can do work with this person. You ask a lot of questions. A prospect reached out to me yesterday. So while I was on the phone with this prospect, I was opportune to be the one to pick the call. When I got on the phone, I focused on asking questions. Now, this person didn't have all the information, I could tell, but she felt like, I wanted to work with you. This is the area of the need. This is the area of focus. But the information was not enough. And I kept asking more questions. And she was like, that's true. I may need to refer you to somebody else. So you see this, by me asking questions, she moved me closer to the decision making. So you see how powerful questions are. Now, when you think about questions, think about an exam and your lecturer. In an exam, who is under pressure? Is it the students or the lecturers? It's the students, not the lecturers. Because the lecturers are the ones asking questions, the students are answering. So in the same way, when you think about selling, think about the fact that, hey, you are not the one answering. You're the one going to be asking. Somebody says, Iyore, but what if I'm going for the meeting and the person is just asking me questions? And that's why I said you want to look at your sales process, how you move from the beginning of the conversation to the end. When you enter a meeting with a prospect, you want to begin with asking questions. You want to begin by asking for permission to ask questions. Whoever is asking questions is in charge of the conversation. What if the prospect is the one asking the questions? Then you take over. How do you take over? You answer quickly, then ask the next question. You can even set the conversation in such a way that you say, okay, Mr. Prospect, thank you so much for having us here today. We'll have meetings like this. Let's ask our clients a few questions. Hope you don't mind. Can I go ahead so I can get to understand you a little better? You see that? So you pre-frame and get the client ready to be able to stop talking and start to answer questions. But I met some very tough prospects. The moment you start, they just want to ask, okay, where are you coming from? Now, as they're asking you those questions, if they ask you where you're coming from, mention, okay, I'm coming from, mention your office location. Okay, thank you so much, sir. But when you have meetings like this, we'd like to ask a few questions. You take over by asking for permission to ask questions. The second thing you want to do is, if you don't like selling, second thing you want to find people with needs. Find people with needs. Don't look for people who don't need what you have to offer and you're trying to convince them to see why they should need it. The moment, especially when you're starting out, the moment you notice that somebody doesn't really have the need, you notice that you're checking, but it doesn't look like there's a need, move on to the next person. It's as you grow and as you move forward in your sales career, as you advance, you can now start to think about, okay, you know what, even though it looks like the person doesn't need it, I can create a need. That's some level of growth. But at the beginning, focus on finding those who have needs. And someone says, Iyore, but most people don't need our products. Now, one of the ways you can tell that people need your products is this. In your organization, how many people are selling your products? Are people selling it? Someone says, Iyore, but the sales are very low in my company. That's why I don't think people need our products. If anybody has sold it at all, there's a need. Trust me. If anybody has sold it at all, once one person has bought it, I remember many years ago, somebody reached out to me, and the guy says, please, I'm having issues with trying to sell this product. I just brought it in, and I can't just seem to sell it. And I asked a question. I said, okay, what's the product like? He said, it's something you spray on your skin. What? I said, is it a body spray? He says, no. Is it perfume? He said, no. He said, it's a mosquito repellent, but you spray it on your skin. I'm like, what? How does it smell? He said, it smells very nice. I said, why would you spray something on your skin? It was an awkward product. Nevertheless, I said to him, I will never forget, I said, okay, tell me, has anybody bought this product from you before? He said, yes, just a few people. I said, people have bought. You don't have any problem anymore. I said, you know what, go and meet those people and find out why they bought from you. You see, because why people buy from you is more important than the fact that they bought from you. So he went and started asking them why they bought. He came up with a list of reasons why they bought. I said, these reasons why they bought is what you're going to be using to start to sell going forward. And he was able to sell out his containers of mosquito repellents. So my point is, find people with needs. The second thing, the third thing, how do you handle rejection? Remember, hurting people hurts others. If someone is not hurt and is happy and is in a good mood, and somebody walked up to them to sell to them, they will simply say, let me think about it. I'm not sure. Okay, you know what, let's see can we talk maybe tomorrow. You see, the person is in a good mood. But a hurt person, how would he handle that kind of situation? Someone walked up to him to sell to him. This person already had some bad news, or is going through a lot, or is so broken on the inside, or has had some suffering. And he walked up to the person to sell to the person, a stranger. He said, what is it? What is it? Please. You see that? So hurting people hurts others. So this means that when you face a rejection, you don't see it as it is targeted at you. The thing is that it is a reflection of the situation of that person. So that's why when somebody tells you no, if the no is nice, it can be managed. But if the no is harsh, you know that it's not about you. The person is going through a lot. And instead of you feeling bad, feel bad for the person. You see this? So these are some of the things you can do to sell when you don't like selling. Number 4, what about objection handling? Know what you're selling. Understand the products. When you know what you're selling, sometimes I look at people in real estate space, for example. I remember I would go for realtor conferences, and in these realtor conferences, I would tell the realtors, I would say, or like other industries, right? Maybe you're in tech, you probably sell a few products in your company. Maybe you're in insurance, you probably sell a few products. In fact, what am I saying in other industries? In every industry, I tell them, I tell them to streamline. For example, I remember in an insurance company, we were doing some work, and I said, how many products do you have? They had about 50 products. I said, 50? I said, okay, which of these products give you the most revenue? They came up with about 6. I said, okay, can we focus and sell these 6 products, master these products first, then gradually we move to other products. Same way I tell realtors when we go for real estate conferences. I say, if you're selling for many people, it can be a problem. Why don't you pick 3 major developers or 3 major projects and deep dive on these 3 major projects and sell them? You'll be a lot more effective. You'll be able to handle objections better. Because the problem with objection handling lots of times, like objection handling is like ping pong, table tennis. The speed at which the objection is coming to you must be the speed at which you're responding back. So if somebody says, oh, I don't like, whatever the objection is, if you are now trying to recall from the 50 products, like the insurance company I told you, or from the 100 different properties, like the other example I gave you, if you're not trying to recall which of these particular products, your brain will start to scan quickly to look for which of them can give you the answer. You would have put yourself under undue stress. And even the way your body would respond to the communication or to how you handle the objection would show that truly it wasn't with conviction. Because conviction comes with depth. And depth is narrow. You don't see depth wide. Depth is narrow. So the more narrow you are with regards to the products you're selling, the few you're focusing on, the better you will be with regards to handling objections. What I'm telling you now is that if you want to sell and you don't like selling, know your product well. Know your product very well. And finally, when you're done engaging all these people, based on what I've told you right now, follow up. That's the part a lot of people forget. Most of the deals are gotten on the path of follow-up. Most of the deals are lost because the salesperson did not get on the road of follow-up. So get on the road of follow-up. Like the person enough to help them, because some people need help and don't know. Like your prospect enough to follow them up. Like them enough to follow them up. If you like them enough, love them enough, if you're genuinely concerned about the prospect, now this thing is just a will, it's just a mindset thing. The Bible says if you're willing and obedient, you will eat the good of the land. Being willing and obedient is just a change of hearts. Change your hearts towards your prospects. Genuinely care for them, and you see how it will affect your sales. Thanks for watching today's video. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. If you haven't watched this video, please watch this. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe here, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you soon.